So it's been an unraveling, and I didn't want people to see my any of the hardships that I ever gone through. I have a couple friends that own really nice CBD stores, and that's where he was going, and got pulled over the day that he was arrested, and his mugshot was posted on the Weatherford page. He was fired immediately, and I'm like a month pregnant at this point. We've had hundreds of lawyers, and they've all said, if he got pulled over in any other county, it would be a slap on the wrist, and he would be out with you today. My doctor had prescribed me, or diagnosed me, I think it was like PMDD. We're getting a call from police saying, hey, can you meet us at the station? We just think it's a big misunderstanding. And he puts him in handcuffs, and that was the last time that I saw him.
Oh, my goodness.
Hey there, welcome to the Mental Perk podcast. I'm Carla Hutcherson, licensed professional counselor.
And I'm Brandy Mock, entrepreneur, author, and community leader. And we're here to talk about real people, real issues, and real talk. Today on Mental Perk, we sat down with Peri Rose, an unstoppable force in design, real estate, and resilience. Behind her sharp branding and polished success lies a story of deep struggle, childhood bullying, toxic relationships, workplace assault, and heartbreaking twist during what should have been the happiest moment in her life, when her partner was incarcerated the same day they heard her baby's heartbeat. Peri was thrust into solo motherhood and emotional survival. But through trauma, betrayal, and public judgment, she didn't just survive, she transformed. We're so excited to have you on the show.
Welcome. We're so excited to have you. You
I'm
have
so
such
excited.
an amazing story. We're so looking forward to hearing about it.
So talk to us about you, starting from when everything started from when you can remember to where we are now.
So, again, it's been a very long journey. I feel like I could write a book.
You probably should.
Yeah. Or have
That's
a
coming.
podcast.
That's coming next.
I really wanted to do a blog just because there's so much.
Yeah.
There's so many learning lessons that have gotten me to this point, and have gotten me to this point to where I was able to understand the most recent issues, and to kind of understand, like, that was a card that I was dealt. And I almost knew, and try not to cry, immediately when he left or got picked up by the police, and it was the day that we confirmed the ultrasound and the pregnancy, I just knew that I had to move forward, and my normal self would have shut down. Unfortunately, with pregnancy, you can't just shut down.
You don't have a choice.
Can you take us back to, because you're saying you got picked up, can you let the guests kind of know what happened? What was the story there?
I want to go back, though. Before we even go there, let's talk more about you first. Let's talk about probably what caused you to be the feisty Peri you are now, right? What caused you to get to where you are now? Because I think, honestly, you probably are realizing now your strengths you have now that you didn't realize you had, because had you not gone through what you went through growing up. So let's talk about a little bit of the bullying. Let's talk about all that, and then we'll get to...
Absolutely. So, grew up Southern Baptist.
Oh, Southern Baptist. Yeah.
Southern Baptist.
We know that here
No
in
drinking,
the
no
South.
dancing.
Yeah.
No drinking, no dancing.
Yeah, drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
So my whole family was in the church.
Okay.
Everyone was either a teacher in the choir, a deacon, an usher. So I was raised in the Southern Baptist
you were.
church. And actually, I would have to say that the bullying actually probably started there.
Really?
I've written papers on it. And so if you're familiar with Southern Baptist, there's a lot of judgy.
Oh, yeah.
Just a little. Just a little.
Just a tad.
And just being a young girl, I was a tomboy. I didn't want to wear the poofy dresses. I was not down. And the elders just kind of came down hard on me, telling me, you can't wear that. And it might not have been a full-on bullying, but that was the intro to me realizing, or me thinking at the time, that I needed to please other people.
Yes.
So
And especially
where-
coming from the
questioning
church,
yourself,
too,
yeah.
though. Coming from the church
Yeah.
that's supposed to be lifting you up, not judging you.
And they're supposed to be elders. They're supposed to know more. And so if I'm not doing this right, you're questioning yourself, which really affects your confidence.
Absolutely. And then, so my parents split at a young age, so I was going to the church a lot with my grandparents.
Okay.
And then my great aunt and uncle and the whole other part of the family. But I would have to say that's where the judgment started. And then it kind of conflicted all of my views with the church, and I just wanted to shut down and be myself. And then so getting a little bit older, probably, and this is so sad, but just to know, like, because you see all these kids committing suicide these days, especially in the last couple months, like, and they're so young. They're like 10 or, and I remember a flashback to being like 10 or 11, and I would have, of course, older girls in school come down on me, and this is before even I was allowed to start dating or anything like that. So once I started dating, that's when it got messy, because then the older girls hit a lot harder, and, you know, they're young too, they don't know, and it's been a long journey to realize, like, because I know these girls still, and to see them as a different person, because I would hope people would see me as a different person and know that we changed.
Sometimes that bullying is happening because of their insecurities.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you don't know that at that age. You think it's you.
You do.
And so, so I remember getting 7th grade, so probably 12, 13. I got the carnations.
Oh, yeah.
You can sign it, get one from
Yeah.
your...
and then bring it to your classroom.
Secret admirer
Yeah.
something like on
admirer.
Valentine's.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Yeah.
I was loving the attention.
Yeah.
I loved attention growing up, just for my family, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But, but I got a carnation, and I remember her calling my name, and I was excited, and still a little shy. I wasn't fully fiery redhead. I was in people-pleasing mode. And the carnation said, "You're ugly, go kill yourself."
Oh my goodness. But you don't know how many times that happens and these kids end up doing something because receiving a message like that. I mean,
and you don't know what's said, because I'm still telling my family things that have happened that I just have forgotten about and they didn't know about. So it's been a nice unraveling with my family and growing with them. But so it started with that carnation. I had stuff written on bathroom walls saying, "This is horrible." And I hadn't even kissed anyone yet. It said, "Peri Carr gave this dude that I had a crush on, was like super athletic, most popular guy, gave Aiden Broadwater head. It's on, or a blowjob. Head was not the word. A blowjob. Look on YouTube." It was not a thing, but it was written on every bathroom wall. We had, that girl ended up getting moved to a whole other school.
thank goodness.
Because of that, we were able to figure out who it was. And then the carnation, that was actually a girl that I ended up cheering with a year later.
God, I love those co-cheer people. I'll tell you what.
Were you able to
coaches.
forgive?
I think so. I would say yes at a very early age, but I didn't know what that
you
meant.
would,
But I knew there was no revenge. There was no
it's just
grudge
hurt,
holding.
probably.
It was just hurt. It was
Yeah.
more about what was going on here.
Yeah.
So that was the part that was hard to really kind of forgive myself, to, not be all the pressure that I put on myself building up, growing up. There was another girl who, I think I was a freshman in high school, and it was after the homecoming parade, and I was up in the stands with my mom and my family, and it was really like a afternoon, evening thing, so it wasn't in the daytime. It wasn't just school, so our families got to come. And I remember this girl with all of her friends stomping in a circle saying, "Peri Carr is a whore."
And
I remember
all of your families there?
And I ran, and so this is when I started like dating a little bit. Probably didn't choose the best guys, because the girls that also wanted those guys were the ones coming after me.
Of course.
But I remember at that moment I ran out. My mom followed me in the parking lot. That girl chased after me. And it sounds so very ghetto, but I come from a very like small country town, but the drama is still there. And my mom and my best friend's mom were standing up for me, telling her, "Where is your mother? Like, why are you doing this?" She's like, "She's in jail."
Well, no,
Again.
there you go.
And you
there
learned,
you go.
you learned something about her.
Yeah.
Absolutely, but it doesn't click till later in life.
Yeah.
Oh.
But it was really nice to see like my mom stand up for me
Yeah.
and kind of me as a mom now. It's hard not to be controlling.
Well, this
It's
mom
hard
would
not
have
to
bear.
this mom would have stuck her foot out and hope
Yeah.
she tripped on the way
Yeah.
to chase my kid, you know?
Absolutely. I was like, I don't know how you handled that without going to jail.
Yeah.
Like, honestly.
You get tested as a mom, trust
You
me.
do get
Dude.
tested
Really
as a mom,
do.
and you get really protective.
You do. The
terrified.
mama bear comes out, and you don't know that mentality until
Yeah.
you have a child.
Yeah. And it is here with a force.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yes.
trying to control it, but just in a way better place now. But that kind of showed me, okay, so if I can be perfect and quiet and people pleasing, then I'll be accepted. Then the girls will like me.
You know, and it brings up a point. You know, we think of sticks and stones may break my bones,
Yeah.
and words will never hurt.
me. They do
I
so
mean,
much damage.
That was told to me every night.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's not that I would rather someone, you know,
Say words do hurt.
Words are
yeah,
magic.
words
Yeah.
matter.
Your own
They
words.
stay in
Yes.
your head
Absolutely.
your entire life. Like
They
I
do.
still remember things like
Yeah.
that were said to me that were so hurtful.
Oh, I had a girl I
right?
And
cheered
they-
with. The same thing. She bullied me. Yeah.
Ugh.
Never
But like
forget her.
if somebody
Never.
hit me
Never.
with a stick, I'm not going to remember that. I'm going to
Yeah.
remember the words.
Yeah.
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 And it took a while to understand that hurt people.
Yeah.
And
That's such a big statement,
It is
though,
a huge
Perry.
statement.
Hurt people, hurt people.
Yeah.
And I hope our listeners hear that, especially our young lady
Yeah.
viewers. I hope they hear if you're being treated this way, hopefully they can
Absolutely.
hear that and understand
and it
that.
doesn't matter if it's a girl or not. It doesn't
does
matter if
not.
it's jealous
Doesn't.
girls. If it's
We're
a guy,
adults.
it's adults. I had coaches bullying me. I had volleyball coaches.
Oh, yeah.
I was a select basketball player off season, and then I was the only girl out of probably 100 people that didn't make a team. And that was really hard for my family because
Of
they
course.
knew what was going on at that point. And it was because my mom's cosmetology, she's at a hair salon. So I was able to wear mascara maybe a little earlier, have my hair colored a little earlier. And
Doing all the things people do now. But
Exactly.
back
but
then.
at a younger age,
Yeah.
also, it's
Yeah.
a little, you look at someone and then that kind of actually launched me into this perfectionist role that I'm still unraveling today. Even through all of, I would say, me being really resilient after moving to LA and, you know, well, really through college and moving to LA where it got messy. And then really kind of finding my way back to God and understanding. I remember being on a plane on the way to LA and I was like, God, if this is not for me, like, please change it. Like, if I need to move back to Texas, like, please do something so that I have to move back to Texas. And then the assault happened the next day by the HR employee who was my best friend.
Oh, my goodness.
And I had to go to my boss and tell him that I was raped next to him. He was there, and he just said, I'm so sorry. And it was actually a trial, so a personal injury law firm, but also employment law firm. So we handled sexual assaults, harassment in the workplace.
And here it
all
is
of this
happening
stuff.
to you.
And I packed up
That's
and I left.
insane.
So you're on the plane. I've got to go back. I'm hearing all
Yeah.
this. It's
Yeah.
like I'm trying to
It's
take
a
all this in.
lot.
It is a
It's a
lot. I'm like,
lot.
I'm hearing it, and I'm like
I'm
overwhelmed.
trying to put, I'm like, how I was
How are you
stressed.
going to articulate all this
Yeah.
in such a short time? But so you're on a plane. You're like having this convo with God, which I go back and say, there's, you know, the certain ways we're raised. That seed was planted a long time ago for you to come back to Him.
Right.
Right.
There's a difference
Absolutely.
between faith and religion,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
Faith is
So-
our relationship with God, and religion is our relationship with all the other
and
people,
that
right?
seed was planted a long time ago. So, you know, as
Absolutely.
strict as the Southern Baptists can be, that seed was planted to where you knew you could
it
have a
was
conversation with
internal.
someone. You could have a conversation with someone.
Yeah.
So you're on the plane, you're going up there, and the next day this happens. And it's with a firm that represents people that get violated.
Yeah.
So how? So you tell
insane.
your boss this.
Yeah, so I remember the guy saying, that's okay, we can tell him, but please just don't use the word rape. Please don't use the word rape. I'm like,
What would you like me
this
to
is
use?
kind of when the fire I
For
feel
sure.
came.
So
Yeah.
that fire in your belly started to
I was
really
like,
grow.
absolutely
Yeah.
not. Like, it was just non-negotiable.
Yeah.
I was,
So in that moment, you weren't pleasing.
yeah. And it's been an unraveling of recognizing the people pleasing, and there's still tendencies today. But I remember then I was like, absolutely not. I've given my whole everything to this firm. I would spend the night, or I not spend the night, but I'd be there until 10 o'clock at night.
How old were you then?
23, 24.
Okay, so
Wow, so young.
we're like babies.
Yeah,
like
babies.
We look at you guys like babies still.
Yeah.
And of course, when you have a kid, they're always your baby. Doesn't matter if they're 50.
Absolutely.
But, you know, you were so young going to L.A. from Texas, right? So you were born and raised here.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, that's a
And
that's
I
a big
wanted
deal
to
just
go.
going to L.A., not working in L.A., going to
Absolutely.
L.A.
And I wanted to go really because I was so not sheltered,
Yeah.
but so supported by my family.
Yeah.
And no one would ever think that was a negative. But to me, it was a negative because I felt like I wasn't.
You wanted that independence.
I wanted the independence, and I wanted to learn, and I wanted to kind of be hit in the face. I wanted to.
See
I've
what the real
always
world
been
is
wanting
like.
to learn quick, and I've
Yeah.
wanted to get over things quick.
Yeah.
And then that's something I've had to unravel is, especially with the pregnancy and Philip being gone, is it's not quick. There's not a solution. There's not a quick solution. You have to sit in it.
Today's episode is sponsored by Hudson Financial Group. At Hudson Financial Group, their goal is to make sure your life is fully covered. Do you truly understand your current insurance coverages? Are you protected for the things you need and not paying for the things you don't? Come by and let them help maximize and understand your coverage. With access to multiple carriers, they'll find the best protection at your best price for you. Whether it's home, auto, farm, and ranch commercial coverages, bonds, life insurance, or financial planning, Hudson Financial Group is your one-stop shop for insurance and retirement needs. Stop by today.
And after that, after having to leave LA, packed up, flew home, and I couldn't be that person anymore that wanted to please, and it didn't matter if I lost my job, which was huge because career had always been very big for me from an early point. I've been maybe not working, but doing marketing and you know, all the things up until that point, and I was just over it, and it was relieving, but also I didn't understand that I was still shutting down in some ways and kind of compartmentalizing it and not maybe asking the question as to maybe why I got myself in that situation, not saying that it was my fault by any means.
Yeah, you didn't get yourself in that situation.
Right. I even had the investigator call me and tell me that they talked to the rest of the firm and they said they saw a photo of me that day and I was wearing a revealing dress and kind of hinting like, well,
okay, well, here's the deal. It doesn't matter if you're butt naked and you walk in a room. It doesn't give anybody the right to violate you, look at you foul. It does not. I get so sick of hearing people make those comments like, well, you invited that because of what you're wearing. Guess what? You didn't have to look.
Yeah.
You didn't have to look.
And I was in modeling, so I was in modeling part-time also.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where things got messy is I was very naive. My dad says I was a little country mouse in a big city and, again, people-pleasing. And I got in situations with photographers that I thought was normal and I thought was okay, and it's so not okay. And I want to shelter girls. Like, I want to let them know. And that's a big reason why I wanted to come today. Maybe just to mention, like, the impressionable girl or the impressionable child. And it doesn't have to be a baby. You know how they say, like, they're so impressionable, they're a sponge. You're still a sponge.
Oh, for sure.
I'm still kind of a sponge. I'm trying not to be. But
teaching girls to listen to your gut feel. And if you are feeling uncomfortable, then this isn't a right situation. You have to get yourself out of that situation.
And I didn't have that relationship with myself at that time.
Yeah.
I had only gotten that really maybe a year after I came home, and I was in a relationship and thought it was everything, and just, again, I was people-pleasing, and I wasn't myself. I was trying to be like a trophy because that's what he wanted me to be. And it was hard to not be a trophy because my whole life it's, you know, your parents, you don't want to ever blame your parents, but, you know, just building you up so much. Oh, you're so beautiful. You've got the world in the palm of your hands. You've got this. But they're just still, as a little kid, your mind isn't fully there yet, and you take things little by little, and you try to make it make sense in your mind with what you know, which isn't a lot. So it's been an unraveling, and I think the relationship with myself really got real is when I got pregnant and Philip left, and I thought I had met my person, and I finally felt like, yes, like this is what I've been deserving my whole life, like actually. And it's funny, that conversation that we had with God on the plane, I had a similar one after toxic argument with my ex, and I was like, this cannot happen ever again. And I remember like going to bed crying, and I was like, God, like please just, I'm not even asking for my husband at this point, because before I was like, please send me the one that you have for me.
Send me Prince Charming.
Yes, like I'm ready. I'm ready. I don't want him anymore. See, like, but it was a very brief conversation. I was like, please just show me like what a husband's supposed to look like. Because growing up, I had my grandpa, you know, my family, my parents, they were divorced twice, got remarried again, and it was just messy. And I met Philip the next day, and honestly, not my type of person, just so golden retriever, goofy.
He is
fun.
We'll put pictures of it. Very handsome young man.
Yes.
And you guys complement each other so well.
Yes, thank you.
But isn't that the funny thing? Because sometimes things are let into your life
you
that
think
you don't
you
even
want
think it's
something,
and it's something totally opposite.
It's something totally different is what God is showing you really need.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of being in the LA culture is, I had a lot of friends telling me, girl, like, get someone to pay your bills. Like, find this, find a rich man, find whatever. And that was something I knew in my heart. I was like, I can't do that. I'm a lover. I got to like the guy.
Yeah.
I got to like how you look a little bit. Like, come on. But that was never my style. And it was always strange for people who might not have truly known me to not go that route.
Right.
They expected me to. And that was just.
Well, you're in that culture up there too, though. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, they're promoting it. They're promoting
Yes,
it to you, like it's a
promoting.
culture, right? So, and you know, there's something to say about these Southern Texas girls. You know, I mean, it's a different pace of life, right? The
You're
expectations.
sweet, you're nice,
sweet,
you're kind,
You
you're
want to be
forgiving.
settled. You want to be loved. You want to love someone, and I'm not saying that's not up there, but it's just a faster pace of life. The expectations
absolutely.
are really different. And so you're kind of being forced from one world into another. And I'm sure you're kind of struggling with the fact that, you know, you've taken this huge step to go to LA. You're telling your parents, bye, I'm doing this on my own. And a few days later, you're coming back. I'm sure you had in your head, Peri, a little bit of like, I don't want to disappoint my parents.
Absolutely. Well, and they really didn't want me to go.
I'm
they were
sure.
crying. My dad couldn't even look me in the eye when I packed my car. I know. So sad.
Love them. Daddies love their girls.
They do.
You know.
They do.
Yes. And it was more about proving it to myself that I could make it. And I thought making it, I thought that meant with the external and maybe a little bit more of, I want to say like unauthentic version of myself, with the people-pleasing and perfectionism. I didn't want people to see my emotions, didn't want people to see any of the hardships that I ever gone through. And if I did mention it, it was with a bold, proud, like resilient face saying, look at what I got past.
But you didn't feel it.
But I didn't feel it, no.
Yeah.
And I remember even telling people, oh yeah, I got raped by my best friend in HR back in California, and just seeing the look on their face, it was horrified, but for me, it was nothing.
My face dropped. I was like,
I know.
And you're like,
it's horrible.
And you just talk about it. Yeah, it's just, it's so hard for people to understand
and when
something
there's a lot
that traumatic.
building up
Yeah.
to it, it's hard to think that it wasn't you. You know, there was a little bit that I did think maybe it was
jump
me.
in
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, part of it, you're trying to normalize it
Yeah,
in some ways.
absolutely.
Yeah.
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 Well, and then the shame that comes along with
So much
But you're
shame.
trying to
the
separate
shame
from
that comes
that.
along with because people are trying to justify that what they did was okay because of what you were wearing or because of the way you looked. It doesn't matter what people
how
say, how they
friendly I
spin
was,
it.
or-
It does not matter. It's not okay.
But to
You
get
know
through
what I
your
mean?
everyday, you're compartmentalizing, putting the shame over there.
Yeah.
But it creeps up on you at the
Yeah.
weirdest times, right? And so all that people pleasing, all the things that you're doing, that shame just keeps creeping in, right? But you're trying to separate it, which is how you're able to say, yeah, this happened, and now let's move on to this. Let's go back, you know.
And I've always, that's been, I was thinking about it on my way up here as my goal in life, and I would be proud to tell people this, is like, I'm a quick learner. I get over things easy, and I just want to learn. Also, it's from a very genuine place too. Is I want to learn a lot and experience as much of life has to offer me, and I didn't want to miss it, but I didn't realize that meant sitting and being present and kind of unraveling everything that I've ever been through and kind of understanding, there's different routes I can take in life, and I don't have to be that person that I was. Not saying that I was ashamed of her. If anything, I have so much empathy, and my heart just goes out to her.
But Peri, a lot of things that happen in our past, as terrible as they are, they create who we are in the present.
Absolutely.
And so it's almost like you wouldn't be who you are today if you didn't experience those things. Mm-hmm. So it's not something to be ashamed of.
Absolutely. That's been a big, being pregnant by myself, just feeling like I got robbed of everything. It just felt unfair, but there was also a voice in my head that told me I was built for this.
Oh, yes. I was fixing to say that to you, girl.
I was built for this.
Because let me tell you something. It takes someone special to walk through that journey alone.
It takes a lot of commitment on your part.
It takes a lot of commitment, but a lot of sacrifice, a lot of, and then, a lot of family. I know you've got a lot of family that loved and supported you. But before you talk about your pregnancy journey, did you get therapy at all in between after going through this? Did you get yourself any help?
Yes, okay. I did. And I always knew I wanted to. It was just I felt like I had so much. Mm-hmm. It was a lot. The first couple of therapists that I went to almost couldn't say anything. They just said, "Oh, well, it looks like." I remember the first lady was, "Well, it looks like you've got a lot of it figured out." I'm like, no,
not at all.
I'm just telling you about it. I'm just letting you know what's happened, and I'm the product here, like in shambles.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be here if I had it all figured out. And but yes, I did find. Let's see what year that was. Probably 2022. After the first time me and my ex broke up, and then unfortunately got into another toxic relationship, and again, it was an unraveling of people pleasing, me thinking. There's just little parts in each relationship too, and I've dated a ton. And
I think that's okay.
I love that I have. I don't know if I'd want my daughter to, just knowing everything that I've gone through.
Well, no,
but it helps you decide what it is that you really want,
and then educating her on what she should look for and what she shouldn't look for.
Yes, bring my experience to the table,
and don't be ashamed to. I mean, there's certain age, but I would never be afraid to. I'm an open book with my girls, and I say that because I want the girls to feel like you can make mistakes.
Yes,
but let me tell you, these mistakes I made, I'm gonna help you so much quicker.
You don't
if
have
just
to make
listen
the same
to what
ones.
I said.
Make your own mistakes. Don't
right,
make
but
mine.
Then the stress, of remembering when you were a young girl and you're like, I've got it all figured out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So it's a juggle for sure.
It is a juggle. So you did the therapy. So
looking to get back into it, I've been really wanting to get back into therapy. I've even reached out. So this will kind of show our financial and kind of just position. So Philip lost his medical sales job the day that he was arrested, and his mugshot was posted on the Weatherford page. So all of his doctors reached out to the diagnostic place, and he was fired immediately. Didn't get unemployment benefits for some reason, and it was just hard for me to handle it all because it was left on me to handle it. And I actually had lost my job a week before that because I had my design business, and I had a client that just swallowed me whole, and I just didn't have the right boundaries. And a lot of this was learning boundaries.
Such a hard thing to learn,
especially with career. Relationships, I feel like that's a little bit easier. Like career, it's hard because you want to achieve, and they show this big corporate ladder, and you want to achieve and do so much. But so lost my job. So we were both jobless. He was in prison, and I
do need to go back because our viewers don't understand exactly why he was arrested.
Let's
so we need to go a little bit into, you just talked about the second toxic relationship. You got some therapy, but through all of that, you met Philip. How did you meet Philip?
How did you meet Philip?
Yes. So it was after a work event, and I was meeting my girlfriends for a drink at Chimmy's on 7th Street in Fort Worth. And his brother had worked there for years, and he was there for his brother's birthday. And I don't even know. He just started walking out. He's a talker. So he came up to me, just started talking. I was like, oh, here we go. Like looking away, kind of seeing who else I could talk to. And then
you did just like that, because you do a really good job with that right there.
I was like, I've been in that situation a lot. I was like, oh, God, who can save me? And then, like, within, like, probably 20 seconds, I was like, okay, I have a lot in common with this guy. I mean, even if not, like, he was interested in what I was talking. He'd be cool to hang out with. Yeah. Just a really, and I would say he really probably became a really good friend. And you were
drawn to the golden retriever in that moment.
Yes. Yeah. Never before. I was like, I could never be with. I get annoyed too easy. But really, he just kind of just showed me what a genuine person. He is so genuine, and his family is so genuine. And at first, I thought it was fake until I met his family, and then I was like, okay, this is real.
Yeah. But also too, I think a lot of that plays in with how you're raised, right? Because I was raised in a hard thing too, a hard life. Yeah. And as you get older and you grow up, you think that that's just not even possible. Yeah. Like was it Joan Cleaver?
The June Cleaver?
June Cleaver, thank you. The June Cleaver. She's my backup here.
Yes, I need one of those. Yeah. I'm like, what's that word?
I need it all the time. All the time. The older you get, the worse it is. But anyway. Yeah. But yeah, it's like that cookie cutter, and you're like, there's no way. There's got it. You're almost.
What's wrong with you?
I'm always looking for something's about to fall.
And that's
there's really genuine people, good families out there, like you got experience too.
Yes.
That show you something.
And it took a minute, but I remember, so we stopped talking because I told him, I was like, hey, I just gotten a pretty bad breakup. Like, I'm actually just waiting for this guy to pull the trigger on the breakup. And I just told him I wasn't in a place to talk to someone like that. I said we could still be friends. We talked a lot of business. I was like, maybe like business friends, but just letting you know, like, I'm not really fully single right now, and I don't think I will be ready. So about a month later, that relationship had gone, and I was on a bachelorette trip, and we call him the Peach King. We call Philip the Peach King because so Weatherford's known for their peaches, right?
I thought Georgia was, but okay.
Well, hey, Weatherford is a little bit in Texas.
So it's the Texas peach.
Yeah, the Texas peach. Okay.
So for all of his doctor, and they're big into health. They're big into healthy food, and they think it's just a gift from God. They're very religious. And
this is Philip's family.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Catholic. So different than Southern Baptist.
Yeah.
Very different.
Really different.
Night and day.
Yeah. Very different.
Very
I'm
different.
still learning.
Yeah.
I'm still.
Yep.
Coming from a judgy background, but
got to get them knee pads out.
Absolutely. And he would always buy just loads of peaches, and he was always have like 10 peaches like by him, and he would give them to all of his doctors, and he'd be like eating them. He
loves
living
peaches.
A life of bliss, like truly, just something I envied, and something that was familiar because at some point, like, just as a child, like looking at the world through the eyes of a child, it's complete bliss and curiosity and happiness, and he has maintained that. And we would call him the Peach King, and from then on, we had our first date right when I got back, and from that moment on, we did not spend like a minute apart. And our dates didn't include fancy dinners. We met on the river, had a bunch of peaches. It was almost like a fairy tale.
On the river.
It's going to include peaches wherever we go.
I'm going to have to get a picture.
There will be peaches.
Philip with the peach, please.
Yes. Peach King.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I would remember telling all my friends, I'm like, we haven't watched TV once. Like, how crazy. And we would just go on little adventures, drive around, look at properties.
You got to know each other.
So much. And I'm one to dive in. I'm one to dive in for sure. But this one just felt so right, and I didn't want someone. I just wanted to see truly what a good husband would look like. And I remember when I met him, I was like, he is going to be the best dad. Like, if not for me, for someone. Like, he is just going to be an amazing dad.
Yeah.
And shortly after, got pregnant, and then the whole...
everything fell apart.
Yeah, it all fell apart again.
So now explain to our viewers, what was it he was arrested for? What happened?
Yeah.
So briefly, I'll go back, but 2022, he got pulled over going too fast on the highway.
I do that all the time. So
She gets 3 tickets in a month.
Yeah.
Oh, girl.
Yeah. Don't be carrying
That was
no
me in
guilt
my whole
none.
life.
it's been a while since I've had a ticket. Though.
Where's Wood? Just walk. No, So yeah, he got pulled over. He had his Texas hemp distribution license. So he was bringing stuff from the manufacturing companies to the storefronts that we see on every corner.
Yes.
Some are sketchy, but some are really, really not. I have a couple friends that own really nice CBD stores, and that's where he was going, and got pulled over. They saw the product in his car. They're like, absolutely not. Took it all, tested it, and it tested too hot. And Philip would, just as anyone would think, they would think, oh, it's the manufacturer's fault. They should be held responsible for at least some of it.
Right.
He didn't. He ran. The manufacturer, we told him, he ran. He's nowhere to be found. We do know he's still selling his product. And on the label it says 3% Farm Bill Texas. What's the word? It's just within the bounds, so it's legal, or legal. And what we found out is it is legal to sell, not legal to have. So
See, that's
the gray laws.
So, but how do you sell something
if
legally?
you can't.
But the person buying it is illegal.
To this day,
So it
I
makes
don't
zero
understand.
sense.
To this day, I don't understand because the store, and that's just the gray laws. And when we say gray laws, it's up to interpretation to the cops and the police who are ever handling it in the jurisdiction and the counties. Like if it's a tougher county. So it was a really tough county.
What county was this?
George West. Okay. So it's South Texas.
Okay.
And they said, we've had hundreds of lawyers, and they've all said, if he got pulled over in any other county, it would be a slap on the wrist, and he would be out with you today. And I'm like a month pregnant at this point. I'm like, okay. So, and at that point, I was on a mission to get him out. I spent almost, maybe not every day, but probably like 5 hours of every day diving into either lawyers or getting together his parole book, showing these people that, he's not your guy. He's not a bad person. Here, let me go back. So we were dealing with that. So he got pulled over with that in 2022, and he was technically a felon. And so he was working on being appealed for that. And the lawyer that he had completely messed up and didn't submit any paperwork showing that he was licensed to have this stuff. And that didn't matter to them, again, because the gray laws.
Right.
So, again, the gray laws really screwed us. But so when I met him, he was telling me that he was pulled over, technically a felon, but it was under appeal, and he's working with a lawyer. It should all be gone soon. I'm like,
so
okay.
this was all happening before you even went on your first date with him?
Yes.
Okay, so you're familiar with it. You just kind of like,
I
walked
handling
in.
it. It's
Yeah.
no big deal.
And it's not that he was lying or anything. He truly believed that he was about to get a full appeal on it, just because of all the evidence. And then, so then fast forward to August 2023, he went into this local pawn shop that's 2 minutes away. And he's a business guy. So he wanted to return. He went and bought probably like $1,400 worth of like toys, like VR headset, fishing poles for his nephews, like a safe, just some other junk. A lot of it ended up not working. So he wanted a return. It was within the 14 days, and the guy said, no, we're not giving a return. That made Philip upset. So they got in a little altercation, but it didn't go any further than once it started getting heated by the owner, or it was actually by the employees. He said, that's fine, I'll just take it to small claims and we'll handle it there.
Yeah.
So a couple weeks go on, and he gets picked up, and we're completely confused by police, and they say, hey, we thought it was just a misunderstanding. And so that same day we found out that he was working with police, so it's small town, and so the owner worked with police. He got his small claims notice in the mail, or he got served, or I'm not really sure how it happened, but that same day he called up to his workplace and got video footage of Philip looking at this antique gun in a case, and he was holding the gun in the video, and the people had handed him the gun, and he was holding it, looked at it, gave it back, went on to look and buy more stuff, and then again, that was his first time going into the store. So weeks later, we're getting a call from police saying, hey, can you meet us at the station? We just think it's a big misunderstanding. He's like, absolutely. That's what I've been saying this whole time. And he puts him in handcuffs, and that was the last time that I saw him.
Oh, my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
But we get back to people pleasing in some ways. Philip was probably guilty of some of those things as well.
Absolutely. And it's hard to see. It's hard to know what I've gone through and to see him and see things be preventable.
Yeah.
So it's been a long journey of me really forgiving him. I needed to forgive him for the stupidity of just in my eyes, I'm like, just be smarter, don't hold a gun. But they put that as unlawful possession of a firearm by a felon. And what you would think possession meant was at your home, or you got caught with it somewhere,
or you bought it and you're hiding it. Yeah. But he was
purchased
just holding it, looking at it.
And the judge, we went to, so he had already been gone. It was January 2nd. I think at that point I was 10 weeks pregnant. I had to sit there and testify, and it was a seven-hour long hearing. The pawn shop owner drove all the way there with an employee to say, this part's crazy. He said, I have never experienced this much trauma, if not more, than witnessing my father's homicide. And I just remember when I heard that, I was like, we're done. We're done. He's not going to get out. I could see the look on, and it didn't matter if I knew that he was lying, and he was just, because he told Philip he was going to ruin his life. It's on a body cam. And he did.
Did that even get admitted to court?
No.
Yeah, see, and that's another thing.
They don't.
What's admissible and what's not admissible, I've never understood that, because it could be a deal breaker for the case to me.
100%.
I don't get it.
So there was technicalities that were overlooked the whole way through, and the judge just sat on the fact that he was holding a gun, and our lawyer told us after, we were all crying outside. It was horrible. And she's like, it's because it's up to her, and possession was holding. So that was possession.
That was her way of viewing it, her perspective.
So, and really at that point, I think up until that point, I say that I knew for sure, what my job was, and what I needed to do was stay and, have the baby and be the best mom that I could be and wait for Philip. And, but really I hadn't fully decided on that yet until January 2nd. After that hearing, I knew, because she hit the thing and she said 5 years. And we were all in shock. We had food. We had his clothes in the car. We thought we were taking him home that day. And so that was heartbreaking. It's almost like multiple heartbreaks over and over, and just kind of picking up the pieces. And
you finally find your Prince Charming.
Yeah.
And you're dealing with this. So let me ask you a question, because I think some of the listeners may be wondering this. Did you ever think about terminating that pregnancy at all with everything you were going through?
There was moments where I thought I couldn't do it, but it's hard to explain. So there's your mind and your head, probably ego, and I was like, I can't do this. God, I can't do this.
But your heart's in a totally
And,
different place.
and immediately, there was like a voice, or just either his voice or my own inner voice. And it was like, you're doing this. You got this. So I was, from January 2nd on the way home, like, I cried, but I mean, I knew what my job was. So it was a waiting game, and really just being alone with myself, because I have dated so much.
You were forced.
Yeah, I have dated so much. I have been put into many different career roles, career moves. And I like the fast pace, but this time it was my sitting season. And
you were forced to get to know yourself for real. You were forced to spend time with yourself, because all of these other things, the quick pace, the jobs, the boyfriends, all of those things, that was a way to avoid really getting to know yourself.
Yeah, and being still is scary.
And I'd like to add this whole kind of perfectionist part of me, and, growing up seeing Victoria's Secret models, being like, oh, if I'm like her, nothing could be wrong. Yeah. Everything's going to be there for me, and everything will be right. There will be no problems. So that was my goal as a younger girl, just wanting to be that Victoria's Secret model, wanting to like make it big or feel so loved, like so acknowledged. And being pregnant, I couldn't do those things that I would used to do that would help numb or kind of fill a void, whether it was for attention. I couldn't go. Back when I had a relationship fail, I'd be like, oh, okay, no problem. I'm going to go model and feel great about myself and work hard and do all these things. And I couldn't work. I was so sick, I could not work. I wasn't going out with friends. I wasn't partying. I wasn't doing anything. I couldn't really, in my mind, feel like I could make myself feel better with my looks like I would in the past, or use that as a tool. And I was just like, okay, I'm pregnant. Even if I did want to leave, like, it just, any thought process that went on in my head that was probably a thought process and programming from when I was younger, it was just shut down immediately by that same voice. And it's like, no, you got this. This is what you have to do. And I honestly was a little excited to kind of leave that part of me behind, because it's not fun to and I am a very aware person, so a lot of the times I knew it was wrong, and I knew this wasn't the way out. I knew that there was a more peaceful way out, more authentic way out, and I didn't really see that until when I was by myself in a house.
Crazy how when you're forced to sit still, how you're forced to realize the pros and cons to your journey, right? Mm-hmm. And then having that baby, it takes out any of you, and it's all about that baby.
It's all about him. Yeah.
But you were almost forced to find your strengths. And even before you came in, we were talking about, what is confidence, and it's really acknowledging your strengths, right? And you were forced to do that to be able to build the confidence you needed to take on this role.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been, again, a huge unraveling, and I'm thankful for it. And, again, like what you were mentioning earlier, I don't regret anything that I've done in the past or anything that has happened to me, because I know that it put me exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I've always wanted to share my story, but it really hasn't been done. It was premature. It was...
You're still going through it, girl. You're still walking through it.
We are in... It is not over.
I don't think the journey ends until you're done. Yeah. Like you're done,
and
right?
Until you're in the ground.
I talk about God sifting through. You talk about him sifting through and just... that diamond in the rough, right? And I do believe that we're like onions. There's layers coming back constantly, and sometimes that change happens when you have a baby. Yeah. Or when your baby gets to a certain age. Yeah. And you're like, holy cow, I want to make sure my kid didn't do what I did.
Every week, I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, you're crawling? Yeah. Okay, a new version of Peri, Crazy Peri unlocked.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, that is a whole other.
Yeah, thank God he is.
So you're pregnant, and Philip's in jail. He's in prison.
No, so he got released. Okay. So he got released on April 14th.
Well, he's not now, I know, but he did. Yeah. How long did he do?
A year and a half.
Yeah, so you're pregnant the whole time. You gave birth while he was in prison.
Yeah.
Right.
With the first child.
And he was on the, I remember him, we told him, we're like, okay, at probably 10 minutes, we'll be ready. The baby's coming. His head's out, like, call us again in 10 minutes. And he shot out and Philip missed the call, and but he called 10 minutes later. We're like, oh, we're about 9 minutes too late. But
Baby didn't want to wait.
Yeah. No.
Oh, precious
But it was
baby.
his mom.
It's
His
okay.
mom was like holding the phone, and in the video, I was just bawling because I was just honestly so numbed out. And again, too, like to go back on mental health. Right before I met Philip, I felt like things were getting I just wasn't myself. The emotions had caught up to me over all the years. And my doctor had prescribed me or diagnosed me, I think it was like PMDD.
Go ahead and say what that is.
Go for it.
I don't even know the full terminology. I know it's like menstrual disorder.
Premenstrual dysphoria disorder.
Yeah, so it's just a bad mix of hormones. Not a bad mix, just a big mix. And I got put on Prozac, and I've always been so sensitive with any medicine. I didn't want it. I've been putting it off for a long time, and then I had my gyno recommend me to it. And then my therapist was actually on it too, and kind of let me give myself permission to explore
Which
it.
I would have pointed out the collaboration there as well. Your gynecologist, your therapist, psychiatrist, everybody working together to make sure that you're getting the best care that you can. And in a lot of these situations with mental health, it takes a team to really get the right balance for you and make you help you find that
and
healing.
a lot of people self-diagnose. I'm one of those.
Yeah.
And I try, and I always want to find the solution. And
we tell people don't self-diagnose. There's there's
Oh my gosh.
dozens and dozens of diagnoses
down a
out there,
rabbit hole.
and if you're
Absolutely.
focused on one, you're not getting the help from the one that is. Yeah.
Well, and the one thing too, I want to reiterate, we like to tell all of our listeners too, is just the fact that you shared that you were put on medication, because a lot of people think, medicine is like the Antichrist.
That
Like
was
don't
me.
do it, right?
Yeah.
And I tell people after I got put on antidepressants, man, I would never take myself off of them now, because it's truly who I am now.
Yeah.
Like I feel
remember feeling that week, I was just like in such bliss. Like the first week I was on it, I was tired, of course, and just kind of like this, kind of sitting in the emotions, but it was like I could hear myself again. And I really think that helped me throughout pregnancy. And I talked to my doctors. I was like, is it okay to still be on it? They're like, it's okay to be on it. It's not okay to get off while you're pregnant because the shift. And so I was like, okay, here we go. Don't want to be on medication with this baby, but here we go. And it was huge. And I don't think I would have been able to sit with myself as much. Because actually I got off, I got off a week before he got released. Because I just felt like, okay, I've been through the hardest part. And if I do have certain emotions come up, I got to deal with them. I want to deal with them. And I felt like I was in a good enough place to do it. And it's been hard. I'm not going to lie.
I think it's really important for people to know that, you could be on the medication. If you're going to get off of the medication, make sure you're doing it with your doctor to titrate down to the right levels. But on top of that, you have to make sure that you're building the skills that you need to be able to manage what the medication was helping you manage. So you have to also do that in compliance with some therapy so that you're really getting those skills built. And I think it's really important.
I do wish that I did with my doctor, but I wish I was already in therapy at that point. But I felt like I had been through so much of my own therapy sitting alone. And really kind of when I started sharing my story, I think that's when I just felt like the relief and kind of to show people like, hey, I'm not perfect. This is my super messy life. I'm pregnant. My Prince Charming is in prison. And I'm about to be a single mom, like on my own. And
but isn't there something releasing about that too? Because you're at that point now where you're good with where you're at, right? And at that point, it's kind of like, I don't care what anybody else thinks. And then also too, you turned it into, maybe my story is going to help someone else's journey.
I could only hope that it does.
What are some lessons that you learned in that period where you're raising this child, by yourself? And I know you have family that's supporting as well, but you're in charge of this child. What were some of the lessons that you learned that you could pass on?
Some of the lessons, definitely as a new mom, is as long as you're trying, because I remember right when I got pregnant, I just felt not enough. I felt like I didn't know enough, like I wasn't ready. But actually in my heart, like I knew I was ready. I remember telling myself a couple of weeks prior to that saying, I want to have kids. Like I want to be a mom. And then, but just being a new mom and feeling like you have to have it all figured out. And you have to be a professional in babies. I felt like I had to be a doctor, like a NICU doctor, and like know everything. And then just as long as you're caring enough about that and doing some research, that's the best thing that you can do, because I mean, just kind of putting your head in the sand and sticking with maybe some selfish patterns, that's not going to help you or your baby or your future, or it's just going to make your journey harder. So
I love that you're saying that, because I think that a lot of people think, oh, they have to have all of these check marks on their boxes before they can be a parent.
We didn't have a job.
Yeah.
We didn't have, all of our money went to all the lawyers. Like even still today, like he's still trying to find a job, and I just got relicensed. So that's exciting, but I've had to float it with my design business, and we've had to borrow money. Like it's not been easy, and it's not
easy.
It's not like something, you know, proud to say that you've had to borrow money from your family just so that we got to keep our house, like so that we had a house to come home to. But we didn't have anything. So
but
I
the
had
commitment as a mother, the love you have for your child, you can make it through those things.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The baby doesn't know the difference.
And you do make it through those things.
The
Right?
baby
It's
has
like,
no idea how much money's in the bank. They don't know that.
It's happening now. But again, you sharing the story, though, Perry's, there's so many people that are probably walking this exact journey, maybe not the exact situation, but the exact journey like you are. That
it's
says,
like shedding yourself.
she's doing it.
Yeah.
You can do it. So someone else can do it, right?
There's a lot of young women faced with that decision of, can I be this child's mom, or do I have to do something else?
Yeah.
Right? They're faced with, so you're showing them that you have choices. Mm-hmm. You have choices.
And I do, and I think a big lesson too is, and I'm so grateful that, again, like everything happened the way that it did, is because I had to stay home with baby. And while my other friends are having babies, you know, they're leaving them at 6 weeks, going back to work. Mm-hmm. And I got to stay there for a very long time and be with him, and just very blessed. Like just being with him those longer than the 6 months, I couldn't imagine handing my baby over to someone in the
So making lemonade out of lemons. Yes, I'm in this situation, but the lemonade out of this is that I get to spend, be there for those developmental milestones.
And it was hard too, because I have kind of positioned myself as like this corporate, awesome boss girl, you know, all about work, and I had to leave work for that. So
you can still be that again one
day. Absolutely.
Right?
So
that's another thing you got to tell yourself.
Part.
Yes.
This even this last probably 2 weeks has been a big eye-opening experience, because I get a little jealous when Philip's with baby all day and I'm trying to sit on the computer. Like I get pissed, and I'm like a little nasty maybe at the end of the day, but like.
You're like, that's my baby.
I know. He's making up for lost time, though, right?
Yeah, so, he is making up for lost time.
He is. But really in these last 2 weeks, it's been exciting, because a big question for me is, I don't get to work, or I don't get to be that person that I've always wanted to be, because whether it was corporate, and it's not, but it's more for like my own skills and bringing it to, you know, the communities, and whether it's real estate or design. I want to be in service, and I just felt like I wouldn't get that option as a mom, but I feel like now it's my superpower, and I feel like what more of a blessing could I give my son to show him that mom still gets to do what she loves and works while I still get to give you love too. And it's a shift. You know, dad gets to step in, and, you know, there might be times where I get to stay home more with him, and, it's
you're
been
not,
amazing.
you're, I think sometimes we get in this mindset of, we're thinking too much of the, what am I not going to be able to do because of this choice or because of this? And the sky's the limit. You dictate
We don't
that.
have to limit ourselves.
Yeah, we don't have to limit ourselves.
We have to set boundaries. We have to set healthy boundaries.
Yes, very different.
But, you know, the fact that you're, like she said, you're making lemonade out of lemons. You're taking this and going, okay, you know what? I do get to spend a lot of time with my baby. Now you're back in the workforce. Now you can say, Philip gets to spend time with the baby, right?
And I've been dreaming of this since we found out I was pregnant. Dreaming of seeing him with baby, and it's like, it's amazing.
It didn't happen the way you planned it,
Yeah.
but it's working the way it's going,
Absolutely.
and that's a positive thing.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Well, so you just mentioned boundaries. Okay, that is probably my biggest lesson that I've learned is I didn't have boundaries before. Obviously, that's probably why I got in situations that I would never want to be in. You know, even as a young girl or as an older, you know, woman, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. But these, you know, the boundaries that need to happen as a mom, as a new mom too, just for yourself too, for your sanity, and just to let yourself know, like, hey, I am the mother, and I do got this. You know, setting boundaries with family, like, that's been hard, and you know, it's a different time. Like, with the vaccines and everything, it's just a complete different time, and I'm open to all of it, and I probably wasn't as much before, but now I'm kind of taking lead and doing the research and doing the things that I need to do to, you know, make myself feel better about the boundaries that I am putting in place, whether it is a lot of it, you know, just as a mom, you want to people please and be like, yes, of course you can hold my baby, of course you can kiss.
But no, it's okay to say no.
Saying, like, absolutely.
It's okay to say no.
But me in the past, like, that was not a skill. That was not, I was not capable. I thought I was capable of saying no.
Everyone thinks no's a bad word. It is not a bad word.
It's
not. It's a healthy
word.
Well,
and you're taking, this is not, you know, Peri, you're making decisions for you, but now you're making decisions for your kids, your kiddo, and it's easier to say no.
It's so much easier to say no when it's your child.
No, it is. It's so,
it's like you
okay.
get the control a little bit. You're like, you know what?
There's a lot of young moms still haven't learned that lesson, right? You know,
boundaries are so important, and you'll lose yourself if you don't. If you don't put that on the forefront or speak it out loud.
Yeah, 100%.
You'll lose yourself.
So what you didn't get growing up, you're able to pass along to your kid and make sure it doesn't happen to your child, right? So there's such a blessing in the roads we travel in life, because although you don't know what that next turn's going to be, you do know you're powerful and you're strong enough to make that turn.
The
resilience. And you know, you'll go back 20 years from now, and she's going to go, man, I was a
so
badass.
Excited for that.
You say that until you're our age, and you're like,
I'm at my best.
We both feel like we're at a prime. Yeah, and
then,
you know, we're in our 50s, so it's like.
And I loved the early years of raising my kids, but I wasn't my best.
I wasn't either. I wasn't either. And,
Yeah.
I was a career woman, owned my own company, and single mom for 2 girls. You can do it. You can absolutely do it. And you get older, the reward is when you get older and your kids come to you and they're like able to go, man, Mom, I don't even know how you did it. And they don't even have kids yet. I'm like, well, let me tell you.
Yeah, it's like a lot of the times, especially now with my mom, we're so close. We're more like sisters. But I'm just like, I have so much more appreciation for her, and I really kind of miss that, especially with the divorces. I had a lot of anger for my mom.
Sure.
Not that she did anything wrong, but just kind of as a woman, I wanted her to stand up for herself more, because then I felt like things wouldn't have trickled down to the kids. So here we go again with the boundaries.
Yes, 100%.
So I think it's so important to get to know yourself and get to know what boundaries matter to you. They don't all have to be the same. But it really makes the person who you want to be. So
and parents don't have to be perfect.
No.
They just have to be humble. They have to be humble. You have to be able to let your kids know, like, I screwed that up. I messed that up.
Well, at first in therapy, it's kind of hard to talk about it, because it was a lot of breaking down, like, hidden anger I might have had for my family for things that just didn't go the way that, the ideal family goes. And it was a lot of breaking down and kind of realizing, like, oh, this probably happened because I didn't get this as a child. But at some point, especially getting into your 30s, if you're still blaming your parents,
you got to work through some stuff. You got to work through some stuff.
Yeah, and there's times where I'm like, oh, well, my family might not have been, we lost our house when we were young, and so I'm never going to be good with money. It's been hard to let go of that one, but it's not mine to hold.
No. It's not yours to hold. That's right.
Yeah. I think these are some great lessons.
I
think your story's just starting to unfold.
It is, girl.
And I think the power of your ability to tell it is going to be so impactful.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to keep pulling back that layer.
Yeah.
Because here's what we say in our business. We say if we can help one person, we've done our part.
Yes.
And I know your story is going to help. I mean, I came across you.
I literally just prayed in the bathroom. I was like, God, if I can just be a blessing to one person through this, like,
I noticed you, and I noticed you and your strength. I didn't know a lot about it.
Well, I love the role model that you're going to be for a lot of other young women
too.
out there, and I think that's it's going to be priceless.
What's one thing you want to walk away with the audience? What do you want to tell them?
Don't listen to other people. Don't let them imprint on you. And the quicker that you can do the inner work for the unprogramming, the better that you can be for yourself and your future family. And a lot of, just like what I just said, is it's not yours to hold. The bullying, the rape, the kind of the victim mindset too. It's been a lot to unleash the victim mindset, because that only keeps you down. There's so many things that have happened to me. I could be riding that train till the day that I die. Yes. The victim mindset. And I just realized that was getting me nowhere.
So limiting.
And it made me the person that I didn't want to be. I didn't want to be that person always talking about my problems. Or when I'm meeting my girlfriend, I realized every time that we met up, every month, it was just an unloading of what horrible things that had happened in that last month to both of us. And it wasn't about anything positive. Yeah. But you think you're helping, and you think it's good to get it out. But really, another big thing that I've learned is it's so important. Which I'm like dying. I'm like calling therapists like this whole last week. I'm like trying to get someone that I like again, and it's important to let a non-biased person be that space, or hold that space for you.
Safe space.
So that your family, your loved ones, your partner, your child, so that they're not taking on that load for you.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Peri, for being on the show. And
thank you so much.
We cannot wait to see you again and catch up with you in the future and see how things are going.
If you or anyone you know is struggling with mental health issues, please reach out to talk to someone you trust. Get connected to a mental health professional who can help you find ways to cope and ultimately feel better. If you are having suicidal or self-harm thoughts, or thoughts of hurting another person, please go to the nearest ER, call 911, or contact the National Suicide Hotline at 988. Thank you for tuning in to Mental Perk. We hope our talk today highlighted real people working through real issues based on mental health. Our goal at Mental Perk is to make sure every one of you knows you're worthy. We're in this together.